Okay, this is going to be a video on how to do your lower control arms on a BMW. This is a 325 from 2003. So let's get to it. First thing you do is take the wheel off. These are 17mm lug nuts, or they're lug bolts. And if you don't have a 17mm, use 11/16 works as well. Now that you got the wheel off, what you're going to want to do is, this is the lower control arm. This whole thing right here. So there's one nut here on the bottom, there's one nut here, and there's this mount here. This is a mount. It's not really part of the control arm. It comes off, so you're going to need to take these two off. In order to take these two off, this one sometimes strips, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take this whole brace off. These are 16mm bolts that hold this brace on right here, and you're just going to want to take that off so that you can get to both of these nuts easily, so that this mount will come off. Then you're going to want to take this nut off right in the middle, and there's a nut up under there. Now this nut is pretty rough, and it's a 7/8, and if you don't have a 7/8, it's a 22mm. And you're going to need a wrench to get to that, because I don't see any sockets that I could get to fit in there. So you're just going to want to loosen those up. That's the first step. So if you can see this, there's a big plastic barrier that goes here. They're on by a whole bunch of little Phillips head screws, so you just take them off, that barrier comes right off. And then you can get to this. This is the frame that you're going to take off so that you can get to that mount. And there's all these 16mm bolts that hold it in, and there's little holes so that you can get to them, and it's pretty easy to take off. It's not that bad. So and then also you can kind of see the bolt right there for the control arm, so you can get to it easier, and you can actually turn your wrench. So let's take this bracket off. Okay, check it out. I got the bracket off. They're just a bunch of 16mm bolts, and so what that lets you do is, that lets you get to the control arm out here. Lets you get to this bolt. This bolt is easy to get to, but this bolt is covered up by it, so you might get a wrench on there and you might strip it off a little bit. So now you can get a ratchet on there, and this whole thing is just going to come down real nice and easy. And this thing is not hard to take off. The bolts are not really tight in there, so you don't really have to worry about that. I've loosened this bolt. This bolt is the worst one. It's right on top here. It's a 22mm or a 7/8 if you don't have a 22mm. These are 16mm. These are pretty easy to come out. And then there's one here. I forgot what size it is. I think it's an 18. And that one comes out pretty easy. So I'm just going to take out all these bolts, and we'll go to the next step. Okay, so I've got that bolt off all the way. I think it took me about 20 minutes to get that bolt off, that nut, so, you know, expect problems. This one, I've got it loosened all the way to the top. And these ones, I'm going to take both of them out. And what I'm going to do is, if you don't take both of these out and you pop this control arm down, you could break this bushing here. So don't do that. I have done that before. So now what I'm going to do is, usually people get it like a fork and stick it in there and pop it out, but I don't have one. So I'm just going to use a plain old hammer, the heaviest hammer I got, and I'm just going to hit, because this control arm's trash anyway. And we're going to throw it away. I'm just going to hit it. I'm just going to hit it right here to get it to pop out of this bolt joint over here, and I'm going to hit it right here to get it to pop out. So just give it some slams, or put a pry bar in there and pry it and hit it, and you might have to hit it pretty hard for these things to pop out. Spray it with something, you know, WD-40, anything you got, spray it down, and it'll make it a lot easier for you. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, after beating the mess out of this thing for like 10-15 minutes, I finally got it off. The long one came off really easy, which is strange, because usually it's not that one. This is the one that came off really bad. It's all full of rust, and as you can see, both of these ball joints are really bad. So the next step that you're going to do is you need to take this mount off if you didn't buy a new mount. Now, I suggest you buy a new mount because these things do go bad. It's just a big rubber bushing. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to press this out of here. So what I do is I spray it, and then I get a puller, and I'm going to pull this out with a puller. It's going to make it a lot easier. I like beating stuff with hammers, but I got to make sure that these mounts are good, so I'm going to use a puller. And I'm going to pull it out. So you put it on the new control arm in the same place, and you just bolt everything back up. And it's pretty easy from here. Just getting some of these rusted bolts out is that's the big problem. So we're going to pull this out, put it on the new control arm, and put the new control arm up. And that's pretty much everything that you need to know about this. Thanks. Here's my new control arm, and here is the old bracket, or mount they call it. So you're just going to want to line this up over here to see how it goes on. And then you're going to want to put it on your control arm, and you'll see it the way that it is. So what I do is I just give this a little juice here, a little oil, anything that'll lubricate it, and I kind of tap it on with a hammer, and it goes on perfect. And you can just put your control arm back and you'll be good. And here's what she looks like in a brand new control arm. And I think shop might charge you $80, $90, maybe $120 to do this. So if you really don't feel like doing it, or if one of these bolts really gets crazy on you, you're not going to save a whole bunch of money by doing this yourself. But you'll save something. So just keep this in mind. Or if you like doing this kind of stuff yourself, like I kind of do, then yeah, do it yourself, because it's kind of rewarding when you're done. But this is what it looks like. It's all done. You put your bracket back and put your plastic plate back that goes over here, and you're finished. I got to do the other side of this one, but I'm not gonna record that. Thanks a lot.